The trick of the enemy around vulnerability, we live in a culture that has conditioned us to be more vulnerable with our bodies than our hearts. And we will get physically naked before we will get emotionally naked. But I agree that we have to have wisdom. Famous Olympic high platform divers, they were once asked, how did you learn to get all the way up there? How did you get the nerve to dive from such a high distance? And she said, I started by jumping off of the edge of the pool. And I think when we think about vulnerability, one of the reasons why it feels so scary and unattainable is because we're imagining starting the process of relating to people at the highest platform and taking that dive. I want to practically help us normalize building relationships, deep relationships, not around our horror stories. And that there is more to you than your trauma. There's more to you than your sin issues. I think we think of depth of relationship as climbing up to the highest diving platform and having the courage to dive there, and we've never just started jumping off the edge of the pool with folks. In fact, if you want to go deep with someone, the way you know who's in your misery group that you can take into a Garden of Gethsemane is you observe whether or not they are making depth dives with you over the course of time. Because there are some people in your life who will gladly jump off of the edge of the pool with you. They may even go up to the first little diving board, but then they're not traveling up with you. And you should not be jumping from the top of the platform with somebody still on the edge of the pool. There has to be mutuality and reciprocity and sharing depth. But I want to encourage us that don't think of vulnerability just around our horror stories. A practical thing to just get to know people. We don't talk about this. You can go to church with someone for years and really not know them. One of the things we were teaching in our women's ministry is even just to start asking people, what is your story? Like, who are you? Because who are you gives them the ability to talk about anything they may want to share. And I just want to make the point that I think it's okay to start small. That it's okay to share the good things. See, we think vulnerability is sharing the sin issues. Some of us, depending on how you're wired and what some of your own trauma is, some of us, it's easier to share the sin issue than share the success. To share the victories, to share the good things about us, because we've been so injured. And so really vulnerability is about authenticity. And am I able to show up as my full self in the Lord? And that is also attractive to other people who want to do the same. It's a freedom. And one of the main ways you can begin to live freely and invite freedom is to be curious about your own story and curious about someone else's.